I don't wish to spare on anyone or any organization. You know, I don't personally like Hendrick Motorsports, but after seeing Chase Elliott getting hurt and now the reports coming out about the penalties levied against the team, I just have to stop and think. The details of the penalties show that NASCAR was willing to go scorched earth if it meant ensuring nobody fucked with the car. According to NBC, NASCAR severely penalized Hendrick Motorsports on Tuesday for issues with the hood levees that was discovered on all 4 Hendrick cars last weekend at Phoenix Raceway. For those who don't know what a hood levee is, it's a vent on the car that allows airflow to the engine to assist with the cooling, and what Hendrick basically did was put tape on the hood levee, and as such, they've basically given them an aero advantage. NASCAR issued the following penalties: docked Alex Bowman, Kyle Larson, and William Byron 100 points, and also penalized them 10 playoff points each. They have suspended crew chiefs Cliff Daniels, Alan Gustafson, Rudy Fugle, and Blake Harris 4 races each.
That's going to be a vacation for his crew chief and whoever else.
NASCAR have also fined each driver $100,000. This basically amounts to a total of $400,000 that Hendrick is going to have to pay in fines. What the fuck? NASCAR penalized each of the 4 Hendrick teams 100 owner points and 10 playoff points. What is this going to mean for Hendrick Motorsports as a whole during the season? Well, in terms of performance, not a goddamn thing. In fact, as long as NASCAR doesn't confiscate any more parts, these drivers should still be contending for race wins every week for sure. William Byron and especially Kyle Larson have proved that they don't need those hood levees to go fast. However, this does seriously impact the course of their season in terms of fighting for a championship. William Byron gathered 10 playoff points following his wins at Vegas and Phoenix, and now they've just disappeared, as if he's never won those races at all as far as the standings are concerned. Alex Bowman is also leading the NASCAR points heading into next week's race at Atlanta, and he led 3 points over Kevin Harvick at Phoenix, if you can actually believe it. Which means the only good thing to come out of this is that Kevin Harvick now has a legitimate shot at going for the regular season championship in his final season. As for Hendrick, the results are just absolutely nuclear. With the 100-point loss, Bowman is now demoted to 27th place with Ryan Preece, and is just barely hanging back there with the Vermin and the Rick Ware cars. Kyle Larson, before those penalties, was sitting in 5th, while William Byron was in 4th. Larson will be knocked back to 32nd in points, and Byron will be knocked back to 34th. Now, with this points format and the recent abolishment of the top 30 rule, Byron is still going to have a chance to make the playoffs with those 2 wins. But let's say Bowman and Larson don't have a win this season.
Yeah, right.
They'll have to fight and claw to get back into 16th. And that is to say they don't have the ability to. But if 2022 was any indication as to how important wins are in the NASCAR playoffs, and even potentially showing that winning might not even be enough to make them, these two are going to have to either win or fight like hell to make the playoffs because of their team's absolute stupidity. Unsurprisingly, Chase Elliott was hit the least hardest from these penalties, considering he wasn't even in the car this weekend for very obvious reasons. Even without the penalty, if playoff waivers didn't exist, he'd still have to win a race to make the playoffs, as he has currently scored 29th in points as of this video. However, while he didn't sustain a 100-point penalty, he did lose his crew chief, 100 owner points, and 10 playoff points. In my opinion, this is just a classic case of fuck around and find out. Hendrick Motorsports fucked around and with a single source part, and they found out the hard way. Did they just ignore what happened to Brad Keselowski and RFK Racing in 2022, or are they just that fucking stupid? Either way, NASCAR dropped a nuke on Hendrick that would make the SAR Bomba piss itself. I feel even worse for William Byron in 2014. The wins will still stand in the statistics, but all that work he did is now null and void, and it kind of sucks. However, that's just what happens when a team tries to get a little too smart with a spec car, huh? So tell me in the comments, what are your thoughts on all of this? Do you think Hendrick will be just fine, or do you think these penalties have kneecapped their 2023 season? Until next time, thank you for watching. This is Nick the Rabbit, down the rabbit hole.